Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to the Spiritual Roundtable right here at Star Nation's main fan page on Facebook, where I do my not quite daily live stream. It's Sunday through Thursday is the Roundtable. And so welcome. Today is Monday, August 19th. Can you believe that? Can you believe it? I don't know about you guys, but I missed you yesterday. I did. I almost went live just on a regular live stream because I'm so used to being with you guys on a Sunday afternoon. But welcome to all of those that are in the live chat. Thank you so much for being with me today, making time for this, for our time together. And those that are watching via the recorded live stream, thank you so much to you too for making some time in your day to be able to listen to and watch the recorded show. Really do appreciate it. You know, we love our archive shows because me and my other 9 show hosts here on Star Nation's live stream shows, sometimes we can't make it to everybody's shows. And so it gives us a chance to be able to support our fellow live stream show hosts in what they do by watching the recorded. So yay for that, right? Well, today is a really pretty day here. It really is. But before we get rolling too far down the road with the card information, I am going to send our live stream, the live stream show here, to my newsfeed. We've been calling it sprinkling. I'm going to sprinkle the live stream show over to my my newsfeed. And I invite you to do the same thing, whether it's to your newsfeed or maybe you have a friend or two that you can send it to in Messenger, right? That is really good too. So I'm just going to remind my friends that I'm live streaming. Yeah, I'm going to ask them if they're going to come out and play. Live stream chat. There we go. I'll give it a little bit of emoji-con going on there. There. That works. I think I'll leave the rest of it up to Stephanie if she's in the house. Turn down the sound on my phone. And we'll see. If she doesn't show up soon, I'll send it over to the closed group. So let's see who's in the chat. Who joined me today? Hello, Rochelle. Good to have you here, grounded. Good. And it's always a good reminder for the rest of us, Rochelle, that we should be doing our grounding too. And I'll do a little bit of that in just a second. And thank you for sprinkling the show to people that you love. And Lisa's here too. Hi, Lisa. Oh, you're so sweet. Hello, goddess. You're so sweet. Oh my gosh. I'm just looking at something that Be Live put in the chat. Oh, okay. Nothing too important. Yeah, I don't see Stephanie here. So I think what I'm going to do is I am going to share the show over to I'm going to share it over to the Star Nation's live stream closed group, just so the peeps know, right? The rest of our peeps remember that I'm live streaming. Because sometimes, we get going working on something or doing something, we lose track of time, right? And this is just a nice reminder. And the live chat. Here we go. And there. That'll work. So did you guys have a good weekend? It was very, very busy here, but it was a good weekend. We were really busy. I did a sacred drum making workshop here at Star Nations in the building that I'm in right now. And so that was on Saturday. And I have to tell you that was so much fun. It really was. I haven't taught drum making here in Wisconsin in almost 3 years. And so it was good to get back into it and And I just loved just doing it here. I really did. We had some really lovely people with us. You guys know them. Julie Shumway Hill was here with her husband Dave, and Deborah was here, and it was really good. It was really good. It was kind of a relaxed is a good word. Relaxed time. We had no broken laces. We had nobody had to start over. Because they didn't have enough lacing at the end. And so it was really good. It was good. I learned some stuff about this space in drum making and little tweaks that I have to make. And I was going to put the Joji screens back up to do the studio right behind me. But I thought maybe you guys would like to see a little bit of this classroom. So I'm going to turn the camera just a tad bit here. Those two cabinets back there, the one that has the drawers on the bottom, that is all drum making supplies. We've got hoops on the inside and hides and lacing and batting for the drumsticks, and we have drumsticks, and yeah, that is the drum making cabinet. The one next to it has all kinds of art craft kind of stuff in it, like pony beads and beads of all kinds. And we have a wood burner in there, do the writing in wood, or the decorations to burn it into the wood. And so we have a whole bunch of stuff. And so a lot of that is going to be used in 2020 when we start having more classes here at the Academy. But you guys, you can watch for the promotions, and I'll mention it way long before they come up. That's all we have to do, right? Right. All right. So the other thing, the reason why I wasn't here yesterday and missed you guys so much, is a little update on the Star Nations magazine. Our partners at Magcast, they're the ones who turn our PDF, our text, into the digital format that most of you know the magazine in. That's the one that gets is through Apple and the one through Google. Okay. They were ransom hacked about 4 weeks ago, and it affected a whole lot of publishers. It did, and me included. And so yesterday, no, I think it was Saturday. Yeah, I think it was Saturday. I got a message from one of our layout specialists, Nissa, and said, "Yay, she's all done uploading," because we couldn't get into the platform to upload the text. And so the people at Magcast have been very diligent in working on getting things restored or rebuilt. And so we were able to get back into the platform to create the Apple and Google version of the magazine. I think that was on Thursday or Friday. And it took her a while. It took her a while because the system is so slow. It's like going in the Wayback Machine. But she did it. She had it all up and ready for me on Saturday early evening. And so I took yesterday to do my portion of it, which is optimizing, it's called. It's making sure all of the links are in there and all of the videos are in there, and going through and doing another round of editing. And so that's what I did yesterday. It took me about 3 times longer than usual to get that done, but that's only because the system is slow, right? And so anyway, that's the reason why I missed being with you guys yesterday. We were working on the magazine, and so drum roll. I wish I had my drum out. I'd do that for you. We're going to be publishing the Google and Apple version of Star Nations magazine, the August issue. So those of you who have iPhones and iPads and Android phones and Android tablets that get the magazine through those devices, tomorrow, I'm going to say by the afternoon, the August issue will be available to you through those devices. So yay! I tell you what, this is a huge culmination. A huge culmination. We've been working on getting through this packed stuff. I don't know. I'm probably pushing 6 weeks on it. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, We learned a lot. Learned a lot. Hey, Jen is here too. Hi, good morning, Jen. Jen is from Australia, so it's actually Tuesday morning there for her. So good morning, Jen. So good to have you here with us. And Brenda's here too. Hello, Brenda. Good to have you here. So what we're going to do is we're going to start the cards. I think you guys are going to enjoy this one. It'll be interesting to see your take on the cards today. I'm going to turn off the crawler thing because it gets annoying. All right. So, hey, Linda's here too. Hello, Linda. Linda, there you go. It's hard to get that button to push. Hello, Linda. Good to have you here. All right. So for those who might not know, this is the cards that we're currently using. The White Eagle Medicine Wheel deck by Juana Nietzsche. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. The author happens to be Lakota and Ojibwa, right? And so we're getting his perspective of the medicine wheel. And so I think this is like the third or fourth one since the beginning of the year that we've had different perspectives of the medicine wheel. Now, the Native American medicine wheel, there's only one wheel, but there's many, 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 many interpretations to the medicine wheel here on Turtle Island. And Turtle Island happens to be what Indigenous people here call North America, okay? And just in the United States alone, there's 568 federally recognized tribal nations here in the United States. So that means that the federal government, through their criteria, recognize that many, over the 568. But there are many, many, many more tribal nations that the federal government doesn't recognize, doesn't sanction them as a sovereign nation. Okay, and then you have to add Canada in there, and how many hundreds of different tribes that are there as well, nations there. So you can see that the medicine wheel has many different interpretations, and so I think it's good. I think it's good that we have the opportunity to get a taste of different ones, not just the one that I studied, not just the one that I live by, but there's many, many different perspectives out there, and I think it's healthy. It's healthy to take that all in. Now, when we're talking about wheels, medicine wheels, and we go across to Grandmother Earth and go to the indigenous roots, to the different nations out there, the different indigenous people there, there's many, many more, right? There's the Celtic, and there's the Sami, and there's many. So all of us, we hold that information, that ancient information, in our DNA, in our blood, and in our bones, and it comes from our elders. It comes from our ancestors. And so when we're going through the information from any one of the decks of cards that has the medicine wheel at its base, there may be times where you feel like, oh, that seems so familiar to me, or that really touched me, but you don't really know why. It could be because maybe that is an aspect of the wheel that your ancestors actually held as a belief. And so there it sits, right? There it sits in your blood and in your bones, as they say. I think it's kind of cool. All right. So the very first card that we have for today is Rabbit. Rabbit. So, when I draw the cards in the morning, I meet with my spiritual team and I'm asking them, the intention is to please show me the energy that's flowing today that's most important for us to know about, that for our highest good and highest good of all, and that can help us with our soul growth, our soul contract, and to help us to have those aha moments, those insightful moments, right? So this is the first card that came today, Rabbit. And I had to really look at this picture because I wasn't sure what it was at first. But if I turn it, if I turn it this way, you'll be able to tell. It's a rattle. It's a rattle. And the white fluffy thing just below the rattle itself is rabbit fur. We should do one of those classes, don't you think? We should do a class where we make our own rattles. I have enough left over rawhide that we could probably do that. It's just cutting out the template for it. All right, and then we have the rabbit that, if I can get it in focus for you, there we go. That is a image of a rabbit made out of beads. It's a medallion rabbit. So how many people in the chat, if they know that rabbit is their power animal or birth totem, that have rabbit in their lives? You know, what we do know about rabbit, without looking at any books or anything like that, what do we know about rabbit? Well, we know rabbit are, they have lots of babies, don't they? Yeah, they procreate a lot. And so they're a sign of abundance and creation. Abundance and creation. We also know that they're a prey animal. In other words, there's other animals, predators, that they're part of their food intake, right? So their energy is consumed by another animal, even two-leggeds. Now, prey animals, when they're very alert, they can tell when there's a shift in the energy around them. Okay, long before they actually see the predator, they can sense it, right? Right. And so their intuition. And so why do they get caught? Why do they do that? Well, it's the life cycle. It's the life cycle. And so some of the predators that use the rabbit as fuel, as food, there's cats, and there's fox and coyotes, birds of prey. And so the rabbit actually feeds quite a few relatives, quite a few. And so in the term of abundance, when it comes to rabbits, that also includes their energy that they give to others to survive. Okay. Yeah, that sounds a little, many of us are vegetarians, right? And so we can't even imagine using another animal that way, right? But it's true that it is in the nature's cycle of life. And there's a way that we, in my family anyway, when you're indigenous and you're hunting, we don't necessarily look at it as a sport. Many of us, I shouldn't speak for everybody. Many Native Americans don't look at or experience hunting as a sport. It is a method of survival, okay? And that we honor and respect the life force, the life that's given to us in order for us to survive. And so there's many, many different kinds of ceremonies around the hunt of any kind. And so the life cycle of some relative like the rabbit is very much appreciated. Okay. All right. So here's what the author has to say about rabbit. He says that rabbit is about timidity, anxiety, and alertness. Rabbit brings the gift of listening. Notice the ears, right? And some of us would even say that the ears are a sign of clear audience, right? That we have clear hearing of spirit, clear audience. has awareness of danger in the environment. Use this to sense trouble before it arrives. Rabbit shows you the folly of indulging in anticipated fears. Find courage and face your fears. Running away from them solves nothing. Use rabbit medicine to understand your fears. Sometimes they're not your own, but have arisen from attitudes held by your parents or others in your childhood. Return those fears to their owners. Some have fears, some others fear are totally irrational. Yeah, and one of the things that you can do is to write down those irrational fears and then have a fire ceremony, right? And so you can burn the paper. So I'm going to get caught up with you guys here in the chat. Linda's saying such beautiful beadwork, isn't it though? It is. And let me tell you, those people who do that kind of beadwork, they have so much patience. They do. It's very close work, and a really good bead artist, a bead worker, they literally size the beads so that the pattern has some smoothness to it, and it's not, irregular, right? Unless they're meant to be irregular, I suppose. Linda's saying, I have 2 rabbits that come to visit me every morning. I know, so do we. We, the babies, right? We see them more often than the parents. Babies. Baby rabbits are so cute. In just this one paragraph, the information that's given for today, there's a couple things that kind of jumped out at me. That we can actually tap into the medicine of rabbit to help us to understand our fears, right? Is that if you have a fear and you don't know where it comes from, and you've been trying to heal it, you've been trying to release it, and it keeps coming back, one of the things you might want to look at is it really your fear? Or is it coming from your childhood or from someone else, society, right? Yeah, there's an old saying, and I cringe whenever somebody says it. It's like they're just waiting for the other shoe to drop, to fall. So they're anticipating something bad's going to happen, and that's one of their fears. But they relive it all the time, and so in this card, I think one of the messages for us today is to really take a look at how our fears can actually help us understand our lives, right? Because we're always talking about getting to the root of something, right? And then healing and releasing any of that trauma. And when you have trauma, generally speaking, you have fear at the base or within it somewhere. Yeah. And so, like, for instance, growing up, my mom, and she still to this day has an intense fear of snakes. And so growing up, one of the things that I had was a fear of snakes. Had nothing to do with any snake ever hurting me or scaring me or anything like that. It had everything to do with her fear, my mom's fear, and how it became my fear just because she's my mom, right? And so as an adult, I had to sit back and, what is that really about? Why am I so afraid of snakes? When there's many, many meanings behind snake, right? And a lot of it is good. Some of it is not, right? Some of it has to do with religion and the devil and all of that. Wasn't it the snake that gave Eve the apple or told her to eat the apple, right? Yeah. So we have to take a look at our beliefs around the things that we're afraid of. And perhaps they're not even ours. It's not even ours. And so what I did was I just took a look at it and realized that, oh, that's not even mine. That's my mom's. And being an empath, right? And having this as a gift, I was feeling her fear anyway, and not knowing that it wasn't mine until I was, I don't know, probably late 20s or so. And being able to kind of sit back and think, oh, okay, so what is it about snake that's really good, and trying to bring some balance to it, and literally letting go of a fear that wasn't even mine. Yeah, my fear was bats. And I'm not so much afraid of bats anymore, although I prefer to have them outside of my house and not inside. Yeah. So rabbit can help us to understand our fears. Yeah. All right. And so the author goes on to say that many times we borrow trouble. You heard that one before too, right? You're borrowing trouble. In other words, you're really worried and concerned and anticipating something bad that's going to happen, right? So there's a huge fear around it, and a fear around the unknown, right? And so what the author says about that is, by holding apprehensive thoughts and emotions, you're losing a lot of energy and restricting your life and creativity. You may be attracting unpleasant elements to you by a negative and pessimistic outlook on life. Rather than letting fear disempower you, allow its charge to kickstart you into taking control of your life. Overcoming your fears to move forward in life is a great act of power and a sign of a true fighter or warrior, right? When we face our fears. Yeah. So, here we get this little rabbit, right? This little rabbit that, for all intents and purposes, is used as a symbol of gentleness, right? Yeah. And also a sign of being skittish and fearful, yes. But also a sign of abundance, right? And creativity, creation. This little rabbit. Yeah. One of the things that when I was reading through this, and I was sitting there drinking my celery juice, contemplating rabbit and facing fears, I was thinking, one of the fears that I faced that many people didn't even know I had, my family did, certainly, but not many people outside the family, is my fear of horses. I had such a fear of horses. There's a picture of me, and my dad has me on ponyback. It was a pony. It was little, but I was maybe 3 years old or so. And in the picture, you can tell I'm just screaming my head off, and I'm scared. You can see the look in my face, and my dad is just trying to keep me on the horse, and so my fear of horses went way back, really, from a different lifetime. And so when I was working with that, trying to understand it, where it came from, and what do I do with this? How do I heal whatever that is? Well, I did a past life regression, hypnosis. And in that, I found the lifetime that came from. And that I was a Native American man, and in battle, protecting my family, my clan. And my horse was shot, and it landed on top of me. So both my horse and I died at the same time, or near the same time. It basically squished me, right? And it's from that lifetime that I had that fear of horses. And so I worked with that, right? Through hypnosis, and then just talking it out. And then because I'm a psych major, I know about behavior modification, right? And so I was just putting myself into gentle experiences with horses and with people I trusted, you know? So sometimes it was just watching the horse from a distance, you know? People who love horses and they can tell me all kinds of cool things about horses, and working my way closer and closer. Well, one of my friends, her mare had a baby, and we were at their house, and Sherry asked me if I wanted to go out and see the baby. And of course I wanted to see the foal, you know, and so we went out there. She didn't know about my fear of horses. And we went out into the pasture with the mare. And she's such a pretty Appaloosa horse, and her baby, right? And so we're standing there and I'm petting the horse, and everything is nice and calm, and the whole thing. And you know, the baby's running around and came up and kind of nudged me a couple of times, and so I'm talking to Sherry and telling her about my fear of horses, and she's got this look on her face, and she goes, "Oh my God, you should have told me that before we came into the pasture." I said, "Really? Why?" And she goes, "Because she says, as cute as foals are," she said, "they can get really rambunctious and very aggressive." And she says, "I'm just going to calmly walk you out of the pasture." And I was calm, you know, and we got out of the pasture, and she goes, "I would have never guessed you were afraid of horses." And I said, "Well, that's past tense. I'm not currently afraid of horses. I have been afraid of horses." And so that, you know, yeah. So it was facing it, but it was, I wanted to do it in a very safe and very supportive way, right? So I think Rabbit today is really asking us to be able to sense, to take stock of what is one of your greatest fears, right? And to face it. And we've had other cards that have said the same thing, that when we face our greatest fear, our greatest desire is on the other side of that, right? Yeah. See, what does Linda say? She says, "I can really resonate with that card today." Well, good. Excellent, Linda. You know, and really it has a lot to do with facing something that's part of our belief system, really, and to really understand where it comes from, you know, because if it's not ours, especially, you know, we have a whole lot of empaths that are attracted to star nations, right? And we have that gift from the time we took a breath when we were born. And so it also helps us to understand that gift too, and how we may have taken on someone else's fears because at the time we might not have understood how to work with our gift, right? And maybe we didn't remember how to work with our gift. And so it can teach us a lot in a good way, Yeah. All right. Jenna says, "Thank you. The rabbit yesterday met my eldest sibling." Really? Mom kept a secret from her children right till death. Dad shared the secret after Mom passed, that she had been forced to adopt a baby, as many women were back then. His birthday exactly one day before mine and my twin sisters. I realized we carry the same trauma, fears, etc. in our DNA. Huge story, though this card just gave me a major aha moment. Thank you. Oh, great. That's perfect. Thank you, Jen, for sharing too. You know, I don't know how old your mom was when she passed, but I do know that older generations, they kept such secrets, you know, and especially around children born out of wedlock, right? Like that's the first time that's ever happened. Yeah, we have similar things in our family too, right? About, you know, children and that sort of thing. And I mean, you know, we did Ancestry.com, Paul and I, last Christmas as a gift to each other. And from that, I keep meeting or being contacted, I should say, contacted by relatives I've never met before, didn't even know they existed. I just got contacted by a young man, I think he's young anyway, says, I think that we might be related. I think you might be related to my grandfather, and told me his name. And sure enough, because his grandfather is my dad's brother, right? And so, yeah, man. Rochelle says 333. I know what that means for me. What does that mean for you, Rochelle? Because you're the one who saw it. What does that mean for you? 333. Jen is saying generational trauma through genetics. Yes, absolutely. We carry so much from our ancestors. We do carry their trauma, yes. If they didn't heal the trauma, we carry it with us. But you know what? Because we're awake, because we recognize ourselves as spirit first, right? Is that when part of our work here is to do that, our healing work for ourselves. And so we can heal that generational trauma. We can be the interrupters of that cycle. We can break that cycle. And so in our healing, in our own work for ourselves, we actually help our ancestors heal. And we also help our descendants heal, something that they don't even know that they carry, right, in their DNA, possibly. Or any future babies born, right? And so we also carry our ancestors' wisdom. So get this. See if you can how this resonates with you, okay? So let's say you heal a generational trauma, okay? You do your work, you hang with it, you heal it at every level of your bodies, right? And so there's a full healing for you. There's a full healing for your ancestors. For your descendants, they get to carry that as wisdom. They get to carry that as wisdom. And they don't have to go through all of the contortions to try to understand this trauma, right? Yeah. And for you, eventually it becomes more like a dream, right? As the healing and the integration occurs. But I think it's like way cool that we get to create this as a wisdom for our descendants because we took the time and faced our fears to do that healing work. I think that it's way cool. She was 63. All right. Yeah. So she would have been 4 years older than me. 4 years older than me. Yeah. See, I was thinking generations like in their 70s, 80s, 90s. Yeah, they hit a lot. They hit a lot. We keep on covering little bits and pieces of things all the time. Jen's also saying, yes, because we're aware of it, we can break the chain. Yes, absolutely. I know, right? I know. It is one of the biggest gifts that we can give to our descendants. And she says, absolutely, I can go back hundreds of years and we have the knowledge to heal things. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We have the knowledge to heal things, but we also have, I think what's is more important is that we're not just aware of it, but we're actually doing it, right? We're actually doing it because it does take action for the healing. It does take some action. She was born in 47. Okay. Yeah. So she's more than 63 then. It'd be like 73, right? Is that right? 72? Yeah. Might be my oldest brother's age. Yeah, definitely part of the baby boomers. All right, we got to cover one more card. And this one is very interesting The second card for today is Badger. Badger. Yeah. The badger. And the picture here is of a medicine bag or medicine pouch made out of badger fur. And what they have sticking out of it it looks like sage and let's see, it contains dry sage, osha root. Osha root's good for digestion, and the sage good for drawing out toxins. Okay. So this bag would have been the possession of a healer that uses herbs and plants, right, to help with healing. And then the badger, let's see if we can get him in focus. Come on. There we go. The badger. And beadwork. Badger. Now, I don't know if you guys know this. I live in the state of Wisconsin here in the United States, and it's in the upper Midwest, around the Great Lakes, where Lake Superior is to our north and Lake Michigan is to our east. The Mississippi River is on our western side, okay? In Wisconsin, our state animal that represents the state is the badger. And why the badger? It has all to do with those settlers that came into the state before it was a state. And they were miners. So Cornish miners, Welsh miners, Scandinavian miners. There's a lot of miners here digging for natural resources, the ore out of the ground, copper. And so the badger, I have a little connection to badger. George, I don't know if you can hear him. He's trying to get comfortable underneath the table. All right, so here's badger. The author connects the words tenacity, anger, and healing to badger. When you think of the word badger, sometimes we use that word when we're talking about trying to get another person to do something that we want them to do. And so we will badger them into it, right? Yeah. Taking on the characteristics of a badger. Yeah. So here are the characteristics of the badger, according to this author anyway. It says badger may be telling you to wake up, organize yourself, forage ahead, and use some aggressive energy to get things moving. Are you committed enough to seeing things through? Don't allow shyness and insecurity to hold you back. Act decisively when the time is right. Okay? And so badger is much more than just a little assertive. Badger can actually get aggressive, right? They're not that big of an animal technically. They're about this, I don't know. They're very low to the ground too, very short legs. They have on the rattle for the rabbit, on the rattle itself, you see that paw with the long claws on it? That's a badger paw. And they use them to dig, to burrow, right? And badgers can get very aggressive. They're very protective over their homes. And so they can literally take on a much larger animal. And larger animals will give badgers a really wide berth. They don't want to go by them. And so, yeah, badger energy. Badger may be warning you to slow down and calm down, right? When you recognize that kind of energy coming to the surface. Badger can be solitary and rather unsociable. Your challenge may be to overcome this, or you could lose friends. Organize a more stress-free life. It says to examine your anger. All anger is aimed at an inadequate self, and use it positively to conquer your fears. Using Badger energy to conquer your fears. When I read that, I thought, okay, there's the connection. There's the connection to Rabbit. That Badger energy, Badger medicine, for those of us that are being, timid about facing our fears, or procrastinating, or, talking yourself out of it, right? Is that if you really, really want to face your fears and you really, really want to heal that, sometimes it does take self-discipline and sometimes a good measure of a little bit more than just assertiveness, right? It's all in balance. To try to do it in a kind way as best as you can. But I think that Badger is here to tell us that, sometimes you have to take a stand. Sometimes you have to boundaries. Sometimes you have to set a boundary, especially when you're facing fears around a trauma that, such as maybe some sort of abuse, right? Yeah. Yeah, so stand up for yourself. Don't be the victim. Don't continue the victim role, right? And it's time to change gears a bit. And Rabbit is here to say, we need to face our fears. We need to take stock of them and figure out, where does this come from? If it's not your fear, then you know how to deal with it as an empath, right? But if it is your fear, and it's something that you feel like, I don't know if I want to do that. I don't want to dredge that back up again. I don't want to have to look at it. I don't want to live through the memories of this, right? Badger's here to help you to set the boundaries. Yeah, straighten your spine, right? Yeah, and get help. Your spiritual team is here to help you, right? Connect with them. Ask them to bring you all the resources, optimal resources for you to be able to heal, to face that fear. And that includes financial resources, so that if you need to find a really good therapist, that you have the financial means to do that, and also to have them bring you the resources as the referral, so that you can find that therapist, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's no mistake, honestly. I don't believe in coincidences. There is absolutely no mistake that Jen was brave enough to actually share with us about what's going on in her family and facing those fears. Okay? That's tough. And then we had that discussion about generational trauma, and that because we're awake beings on our spiritual path here on earth, that we can be the disruptors of a generational cycle, right? Yeah, because here's an example. Here's an example. In my family, my mom was one of those children that went to a mission school. Okay, and that means that in the mission school, it was a school that was run by Lutherans, in this case, by Lutherans, and they couldn't speak their language. There was more than just Ho-Chunk and Potawatomi there. There was also Oneida, Ojibwa children there, ages, and she left home at the age of 6, right? Went home in the summer times, but basically lived there year round. Had a couple weeks off in the summer, yeah, until she was 13 or 14. Right? Can you imagine going someplace that you don't know anybody at 6 years old? Right? Yeah. And so she carries that trauma with her. Right? And there was sexual abuse going on in that school. She talks about it now, but she didn't then. Did it happen to her? She's never really said. But, facing those fears, right? So she may not be able to face that fear, but I can, because I carried past tense in my DNA from her. And so I could heal that for myself in that generational. I could break that cycle of fear. That makes sense? And so, to be able to tap into that strength to do that. Yeah. Yeah. Jen says her mom passed. Yeah. Yeah. Rochelle says, is that a duck's head on the right side of the pocket? It looks like it to me. No. It's on the inside of the pocket there. No, that's not a duck's head. That is Osho root. Osho root. Osha root. Sorry. Yeah, and it's supposed to be good for digestion. All right. So Jen is saying, funny as I am taking him to a sacred place up my valley to the gorge. Yeah, I was thinking of doing ceremony regarding the energy we're in, but was balking at it due to my own fears. I would need to spend time to prepare and gather. Funny as okay, best I step out of fear. Yeah. I think Spirit's really trying to tell you something there, Jen. Linda says, looks like it's time. It looks to me too, Rochelle. Okay. Yeah, but that was Osho root. Your mom is so brave. She is to a certain extent about some things. Yeah. About the mission school stuff, not so much. No. And my mom's 100, right? And so, but this mission school stuff was perpetuated for some people who are now in their 60s, mid 60s, late 60s. They were at the tail end of that, forced to go to those mission schools. And so there's some people who are a bit younger than her that are still, dealing with this. But my mom, I don't know if she ever really dealt with it. Not really. No. In some ways, because of the healing work that I did for myself, was around that, did affect her. Okay. So she's not as traumatized, I think is a good word, by it. She still has her own memories and her own lessons that she had to live through for that, but it's not as deep-seated fear as it was, Yeah. When she talks about it now, she talks about things like, I never did understand why we couldn't speak our own language, but we had to sing because it was a mission school, right? It was connected to a Lutheran church. They had to sing the hymns in Norwegian. And she said, I never did understand that. I still don't. That they had to sing in a completely different language and they couldn't speak their own. So it made no logical sense, right? So Rochelle says, I still have trauma from when I was in the convent. I bet. So, yeah, healing those layers, right? Because we have the 4 bodies to heal. We have the mental, the emotional, the physical, and the spiritual bodies to heal in order for it to be complete. Yeah. And Lisa's saying, I come from both lines of alcoholics. I am now going on 2 years completely. Oh, good for you. No smoking as well. I choose to break the cycle. Good for you, Lisa. Really good for you. It's not a simple task. So, for those who that kind of resonates with, that's why Badger came in. Because there's some really major issues that we have to be a little bit more than just assertive with, and to be able to create those really good boundaries around, so that Badger is literally coming in to support the rabbit energy for today, right? So, okay, as you guys know, right? Oh, by the way, Lisa, thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much, because I'm sure that there's others that are going through the same thing. Okay, so we know that when I show you the cards all together, right, that we've learned this together, is that to take a moment and call your spiritual team to you, the whole team. Ask them to come close so that they can help you to take in the information that's meant for you, for your highest good, right, from the cards, the essence or the spirit of the cards, right? Okay. And then when I show the cards, just take a nice deep breath in. And as you're exhaling, it's just really take in both the seen and unseen energies that's meant for you, right? Let's see. Here we go. So Rabbit came in today to help us to understand that facing our fears is a path of growth. That when we face our fears and we heal them or we release them, especially if they're not ours, that it frees up our energy to use our gifts more and more, to be creative, right? And we learn so much about ourselves and the life that we chose to have our soul growth, our physical life. And that as from our ancestors, we carry both their trauma and their wisdom, and that we can be the disruptors of a cycle that's based in fear. We can heal that. Badger comes in to help us to do that. Badger medicine. At those times when we need just a bit more than just being a little assertive, is to go a step beyond that so that we set up good, healthy boundaries that were tenacious in the healing process, that we will take it to the furthest end to completely heal. And in so doing, we then get to pass wisdom down to our descendants, rather than trauma in this case, but the wisdom around it. the greatest gift that we can give to our descendants. Right? So taking in both the seen and unseen that's meant for you, for your highest good. Okay? There we go. Wow, huh? This is why I missed you guys yesterday, is to have this kind of conversation and to really tap into what Spirit is sharing with us, right? Yeah. Lisa's saying, I made ancestry board for healing on board side. Oh my goodness. That is a fantastic idea, Lisa. It's really a good idea. I'd say brilliant. It's a brilliant idea. Jen saying, thank you for sharing your mom's story. Blessings of all and healing. You're welcome. And you're welcome, Linda. Very welcome. So with that, whatever resonated with you today in our conversation, my suggestion is to embrace it. Embrace it and then watch, sense, feel, and see how today's energy is unfolding around you and where this information could be helpful, right? And if it didn't resonate with you, that's okay. Don't worry about it. There's always tomorrow. You never know what cards are going to be drawn tomorrow. And maybe you're the messenger, right? You can share this recorded show with someone, and maybe that was all you were meant to do, right? Okay. So, we have we got a very full week for you guys. We have several shows starting with tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time, 7 Central, is the Tarot Journey with Julie Hedges, and she's talking about our toolbox, right? Oops, wrong notes. The toolbox and our gifts, really, and the tools, the allies that we have. And where does that fit in with astrology and also the tarot? So, and she's also going to be doing card draws tonight too. So if you guys are interested in that, her show starts at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And then tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. is Mervyn Kelly and from Star to Stone. And it's going to be so interesting. He's going to be sharing more about crystals and stones and how we can use them to tap into our ancestors, right? Yeah, it's going to be pretty good. And that's at 9 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow, Tuesday, August 20th. And then it is Polly Jo LeBay's show. And I can't remember what her show is about. I don't have my notes up. Her show is on at noon. It's not Inner Wisdom. She did that last week. Oh, darn. Well, you'll see all kinds of promotions that are going on at Star Nations. And so we'll find one about her show and we'll put it in the comments. Okay, so you guys have it. Okay, and then Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time is my weekly evening show, and that is Communications from Home. And we're talking about our hearts and remembering. Do you remember? Okay, yeah. Can't wait for that one. It's going to be a good one. That's at 8 p.m. Wednesday, we have a replay for Nature Adventures. My show with Minnie Kansman, my good friend, my sister Minnie. We're going to do a replay for that one. I hope you guys watch it. It's called Nature and Poets. It's one of our favorites. And that's on at 4 p.m. Eastern time. And then at 7 p.m. Eastern time is Soul Connections with Polly Jo LeBay. So if you're interested in doing this kind of healing that we talked about today, that might be a place for you to start, because Polly Jo and her team hold the sacred container for our healing. We bring in our own intentions and our own spiritual teams to work on something, and Polly Jo and her team help us, okay? And then there's the card draw in the second half of that show. Thursday is Angel Therapy with Maureen Mann. And Maureen is talking about angels and healing. Angels and healing. And that's at 4 p.m. right after this show on Thursday afternoon. And of course, this is the Spiritual Roundtable. And I'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Time for the next spiritual conversation. Okay? And so with that, you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow at 3 p.m. Thank you so much for being with me, those in the live chat and those that will be watching the recorded. Appreciate it. Bama Mina, that's Potawatomi for until we see each other again. Love you guys.